Good morning, afternoon, or evening, poets. First of all, wow, I have read through some of the exit tickets and we really have some great poets in fourth grade. So we're going to continue with poetry. And while I'm here, first let me warn you, it's very hot in the room that I'm in and it's raining outside. And I hope my fan doesn't come on my computer because then it messes up the sound. But I'm going to do my best with all of that. Oh, and my allergies are bothering me. But your poetry makes all of that worth it. Okay, so let's start. And why poetry? So some of you might be asking that. You'll notice on last week's exit ticket, I asked you if you liked poetry. And I have a little bit of a secret to tell you. I never liked poetry in school, from kindergarten all the way through like until I went to college. I didn't really understand it. I didn't get the point of it. It kind of felt boring to me, and I wasn't good at doing it. I never had a teacher that taught it very well until college. Then I had an English class where we looked at some great poems. So the teacher picked some great poems for us to look at, and we learned how to appreciate poetry. So, why poetry? Well, hopefully, I can teach you some of the lessons that my college teacher taught me to answer this question so you can enjoy it more than I did when I was a kid. All right. So, why poetry? Well, let me try to answer it this way by asking another question. Well, why art? So, I'm looking out my window and I'm noticing that it's raining out. So, I could just tell you it's raining out. Think about an artist like a painter. They could just say it's raining out. There's people with umbrellas. But they want to paint it. They don't want to just say it, right? So, for example, this artist wanted to capture a moment in time and paint something in an artistic way and express something in a way that's different than just saying it was raining and there was people with umbrellas. So they spent probably hours and hours and weeks and months painting this beautiful painting, and really it's describing a rainstorm, right? So poetry is similar. It's like we don't want to just say it's raining outside and people have umbrellas. We want to show it in a really creative way and a very emotional way and a way that really captures people's attention and in a beautiful way. So why poetry? Kind of like it's art with words. Hopefully that helps. Okay. So this was a painter's take on a rainstorm. And if we think about the mood of this painting, it's a little dark, right? The clouds are gray, everyone's wearing black. It kind of looks like kind of intense and dark. And the woman looks maybe kind of lonely. Like there's a lot of discussing and analyzing, and we can sort of think about what this painting means. So this is one artist's portrayal of what a rainstorm would be like. But let's think about what a poet might say about a rainstorm. All right, so if you were with me on ELA small group last Friday, we looked at this already, but let's look at it again quick. Tiny raindrops start to fall. They leave small dots upon the wall. Birds and trees stop their singing. Much needed water the rain is bringing. Water on leaves and trees and grass. Water on fences and bricks and glass. Rain is falling and the trees start to smile. It's finally raining, been dry for a while. Rain on the pond where the fish are swimming. Rain all day long until the sun's dimming. The sound of the rain could never be sad. Everywhere water, my heart feels so glad. All right, so one trick that my teacher taught me was to read a poem through once. Don't try to understand it, just read it. Try to hear it, feel it, try to hear the rhythm of it. Then, now that you have a gist of it, reread it and try to understand it deeper. Especially if it's one of these a little bit longer poems like this, and you feel like, I didn't quite get that the first time. Just like a painting, they're not meant to be looked at quickly. They're meant to be studied. So let's look at this again, now that we have an idea of what it's about. Tiny raindrops start to fall. They leave small dots upon the wall. Birds and trees stop their singing. Much needed water the rain is bringing. Water on leaves and trees and grass. Water on fences and bricks and glass. Rain is falling and the trees start to smile. It's finally raining, been dry for a while. Rain on the pond where the fish are swimming. Rain all day long until the sun's dimming. The sound of the rain could never be sad. Everywhere water, my heart feels so glad. So, is this, think about too, like when you read a poem, what is the author, the writer, trying to tell you, right? Is this writer, do they dislike rain or do they like rain? Well, it sure seems like they like rain, actually, right? I think one of the reasons this artist or this poet wrote this poem was because most people think of the rain as being sort of a negative or bad thing. But I think this artist wanted to make rain sound beautiful. So they painted a picture with words, right? They made it rhyme, they made it kind of sing and dance and jump off the page. And they made rain feel beautiful. And they made rain to be a good thing, right? Like it says, much needed water the rain is bringing. Or the sound of the rain could never be sad. Everywhere water, my heart feels so glad. Those trees start to smile, right? So, what was the point? So, why poetry? Well, this is someone who's trying to get you to think about rain in a different way and think about how beautiful and good it is, and not just think about it in a negative way. So, that's one reason why poetry. All right, here we go. Today's target. Now that we have some background and we've looked at a cool poem and we get that it's like using words to create art, basically. Let's see what today's target is. I can play around with poetry. Well, it's the same target from last week, but wait, this is the new and improved edition. I can play around with poetry, drumroll please, now with new tools. So for the rest of this lesson, before you go to your exit ticket, we are going to look at some of the tools that artists use, some of the tricks of the trade, to create beautiful poetry and poetry that is interesting and makes your reader really connect with it. So we gave you some tools last time, right? Like verses, line breaks, that kind of thing. But what are some other tools that poets use? Like if we look back at this poem, they use stanzas. I'm sorry, I used the word verses. It's actually not correct. It's a stanza. So there's 3 stanzas here. And let's think about some of the other tools they use, some of the other tricks, techniques that they used in their writing. So one tool, well, actually there's 2 in this slide, 2 tools that poets use, rhyme and rhythm. Think about a song lyric, right? Many song lyrics rhyme, right? We come together in unity, friends, teachers, and family. Like unity and family rhyme, right? And there's a rhythm to it. Come together in unity, friends, teachers, and family, right? So rhyme and rhythm. Poets use it just like songwriters do. So a rhyme, I think you all know what rhyming is. Rhythm means the beat. So it's the right? So let's look at this one. This has rhyme and rhythm. I saw a fairy in the wood. He was dressed all in green. He drew his sword while I just stood and realized I'd been seen. So wood and stood rhyme and green and seen rhyme. And I can almost tap this out with a rhythm. I saw a fairy in the wood. He was dressed all in green. He drew his sword while I just stood and realized I'd been seen. There's a rhythm to it. That's why you often have to reread a poem a few times, because you don't catch the rhythm the first couple times. Okay, rhyme and rhythm are 2 tools that you can put in your poet toolbox to write beautiful poetry. We're going to look a little bit more at rhyme because it's so common in poems. Oh, this is related. So meter. So what is the rhythm? So it's like in music, there's like 4/4 time and there's 3/4 time. It's like how many beats does it get and what pattern are the beats? That's sort of what the meter is. So a rhythmic pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables. So it's showing here, right here, da dum 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 da dum. Well, when I read the words, I'm supposed to read them with that sort of like da dum da dum da dum da dum. All right, I'm not calling any of you dumb, by the way, but I want to say the dumb with more stress, like with a little bit louder and emphasize the dumb. Remember, I'm not calling you dumb. Anyway, so all I could see from where I stood was 3 long mountains and a wood. So da-dum, 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 all I could see from where I stood. That's called meter. So where is the stress on those syllables that makes the rhythm? So meter and rhythm, very similar, right? Rhyme is when the words sound the same. All right, let's look at rhyming patterns. So it actually uses something similar to music. But let's look at one here. Okay, this is back from that rain one. Tiny raindrops start to fall. They leave small dots upon the wall. Birds and trees stop their singing. Much needed water the rain is bringing. So this has rhyme because fall and wall, singing and bringing. This also has a rhythm and meter to it. Tiny raindrops start to fall. They leave small dots upon the wall. Birds and trees stop their singing. Much needed water the rain is bringing. Much needed water. I actually messed up the rhythm. That's why you have to practice it a few times. But there's this kind of bop, 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 bop sound to it, right? And that is part of what makes poetry fun and catchy. So let's look at another one. I actually rewrote this just slightly to look at how rhyme patterns work and how we can discuss them. So this is me making this up, this second part. Tiny raindrops start to fall. Birds and trees stop their singing. Small dots form upon the wall. Much needed water the rain is bringing. So you'll notice now that instead of fall and wall being the first two sentences, fall and wall are line number 1 and 3. And singing and bringing are line number 2 and 4. So this is where I said it's kind of like music and what Miss Barone has talked to you about. Remember, she'll tell you to play the A part or to play the B part, then go back to the A part. That's kind of how you name rhyme patterns too. So for this one, this is A-A-B-B because fall and wall both rhyme, so they're A. And then singing and bringing both rhyme, but they don't rhyme with fall and wall, so they're B. So it's A-A-B-B, fall, fall, singing, bringing. This one, take a guess. What is it? Well, fall is A, wall is also A, singing is B, bringing is also B. So it looks like this. A, B, A, B. These are two very common patterns. So fall, like tiny raindrops start to fall. Birds and trees stop their singing. The first two lines don't rhyme with each other, but they rhyme with the next two. Small dots form upon the wall. Much needed water the rain is bringing. Okay, that's how you would name rhyme patterns. And normally in a poem, the whole poem would follow whichever pattern you pick. So let me go back here. Notice this one. It's A-A-B-B. Same here. Grass, glass, smile, while. Same here. Swimming, dimming, sad, glad. Usually each stanza will follow the same rhyme pattern. Now, that rule can be broken. You're the poet. You can be creative and break that. You could do A-A-B-B here and then do A-B-A-B here. But quite often, each stanza follows the same rhyme pattern. All right, so here are your tools that you are now equipped with. Rhyme, rhythm, meter. You understand now how to incorporate rhyme into your, incorporate means add rhyme into your poems. Pick a pattern, stick with that pattern. You actually find that by forcing yourself to stick to a pattern, it actually makes you more creative. Yes. Okay. This is my single most favorite tool that a poet has. I love poems that use repetition, and I love writing poems that use repetition. A couple reasons. One, I think they make it a lot easier on the poet, actually. And two, I think they sound amazing. So it's like the best of both worlds. Like, kind of easy for me to write it, and sounds amazing when you read it, right? Not that you should ever do anything just because it's easy, but it's like an added benefit that repetition's kind of easy. So repetition, what root words do we see in there? We see repeat, right? So it's when something repeats. So often an author will repeat the same 3 or 4 words. I should say a poet will repeat the same 3 or 4 words all throughout the poem to create an effect. And I'm going to give you an example. Oh, more rain. Again, looking out my window, it's raining outside again. So the title is It's Raining. It's raining all around. It's raining puddles on the ground. It's raining on my booted feet. It's raining rivers in the street. It's raining cats. It's raining dogs. It's raining ponds for pollywogs. It's raining drop by drop by drop. A billion trillion, it won't stop. It's raining buckets from the sky. Don't think the earth will ever dry. So obviously they repeated that term, it's raining, a lot, right? And it gives you the sense of just how much it's raining outside because they keep repeating it. And it really paints the image in your mind, and it just sort of sounds cool to like keep repeating that same line. So that is repetition. I'm going to put a few more examples of repetition in Google Classroom. So when you go to write your own poems, spoiler alert, you're going to write your own poem. There will be some examples and models besides just this one about repetition. All right, another tool in your toolbox. If we go back, we've got rhyme and rhythm, meter, repetition. Let's look at another one, alliteration. Some of you already did this because it was in last week, so I just didn't talk about it. So I don't want to talk about it for too long. But alliteration is repeating the same sound, the same beginning consonant sound in a line, verse, or stanza. So like this one obviously uses the sound of p. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. So every word, and it doesn't have to be every word, like notice and of. It's just when there's a lot of repetition. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. And it's just a way to jazz up your language, right? To just jazz up your poem, make it sound cool. It's just fun to say and it sounds cool. We do this as a greeting, right? Like yellow Yelena, or daring ditch, or darling David. Ha, David, gotcha. Or yeah, I can't think of any more. We do a lot of those, right? That's alliteration, right? Same first sound. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Sorry, I'm pausing and stuttering here. Remember, hot, allergies, yeah, the whole thing. What I wanted to say is that often you do not need to write your whole poem with alliteration. What authors often do is just have a line or two of alliteration. So maybe the third line of every stanza uses alliteration, but no other lines in the poem use alliteration. So it's not like you have to go all alliteration or no alliteration. You can sprinkle it in. It's like adding a little bit of spice to a dish, right? To a dinner meal. Like you add a little bit of spice. You just throw in some alliteration at different parts. You don't have to make the whole poem have alliteration. Okay, that's a new tool for your toolbox. Let's show you the next one. Oh, $1 million of fake money to anyone that can pronounce that word at the top of the page. $1,000,000 fake money dollars. Go for it. Try it. Sound it out. Maybe you've heard it before. Okay. Congratulations, you all just won $1 million fake dollars just for trying. So I'll be sending you, fake sending you that fake $1 million any day now. All right, this is called onomatopoeia. And it is a word that imitates the sound it represents. And they give you some examples here. So splat, bam, splash. So the word itself makes the sound you're trying to say. So like squish, right? If I take like mud and I squish it together, it sort of makes the sound squish. So that's called onomatopoeia, when the word itself sounds like the sound that it's making. Like the word tweet, like a bird sounds like it's tweeting. So tweet, onomatopoeia. Again, you don't have to use onomatopoeia in your whole poem, but these are great words because they really make a poem come to life, because you have these words that sound like the real thing. Like she jumped in the water, splash. He smacked the mosquito, splat. That kind of thing. All right, another tool for your toolbox. Let's talk about internal rhyme. So what we talked about here is like external rhyme. It means on the outside. So at the last word of each line is what rhymes. Internal rhyme is when it rhymes within the line. And you'll notice the example they give us is from Where the Sidewalk Ends with Shel Silverstein. Shel Silverstein uses internal rhyme all the time. All right, here is an example. Oh, I'm Dirty Dan, the world's dirtiest man. I never have taken a shower. I can't see my shirt, it's so covered with dirt, and my ears have enough to grow flowers. So if we think about what rhymes in here, none of the end words rhyme with each other. So man, shower, dirt, flower. Okay, I lied. Shower and flower actually do rhyme with each other. But man doesn't rhyme with anything and dirt doesn't rhyme with anything, at least not end words. But look, oh, I'm Dirty Dan, the world's dirtiest man. Within the line, he rhymed Dan with man. And here, dirt, I can't see my shirt, it's so covered with dirt. Within the same line, shirt and dirt. So this actually looks really simple, but this is Shel Silverstein being a genius. And his first line using internal rhyme. Then his second line rhyming with the fourth line. And the third line using internal rhyme. There's actually a pattern here. It's what makes this poem work. Oh, I'm Dirty Dan, the world's dirtiest man. I never have taken a shower. I can't see my shirt, it's so covered with dirt, and my ears have enough to grow flowers. Smart dude. All right, so internal rhyme is another tool you have for your toolbox. Okay, so what are you going to write about? So this is sort of your, this part is your instructions for the independent writing. Well, it's really just like last time. You're just going to write your own poems, but like I said in the target before, now with new and improved strategies, right? You have new tools to write poems with. So I love these ones that have been about summer, about quarantine. I really especially love the one Natalia shared in our Friday meeting, and hopefully I could share that with all of you because it was about summer and quarantine, and it used some of these tricks before I ever even taught them to you. It could be about the end of the school year. And I thought about this, it could just be about GCCS, right? I thought like an acrostic poem using the word Genesee or just GCCS or community, I thought could be really cool. And so what are you going to do? Come on now. You're going to do the exit ticket. I am going to post these slides, so this actual slideshow will be in Google Classroom, so you have access to these different tools that we just learned about. And hopefully we can share them, or we will be sharing them on Friday at the ELA debrief. So get writing. You don't have to write those topics, those were just ideas. But let's write some poems and share on Friday like we did last Friday. We heard from a lot of fourth graders, and I was really impressed. There was onomatopoeia, there was repetition, there was alliteration, there were stanzas, there was rhyme. It was all already happening, but now you have a little bit better understanding of it. So my challenge for all of you is to write some sort of beautiful poem using the resources in Google Classroom. That's it for poetry for today, my friends. I hope you have enjoyed, and keep writing, you wonderful poets. See you soon.